So here we are with an hour of Voices from the Sperrins, and tonight's podcast, or today, or this evening, or all day, whatever you want to watch it, is about the heritage and history of horse racing in Draperstown, Ballinascreen and Desertmartin. So we have two gentlemen that have stepped up to the mark for us tonight, this evening, today, whatever one you want to look at. So it's Noel Kelly, one of the few horse trainers in the north of Ireland. Noel has his own stables, his own training ground, and we'll speak about that as we go along, Noel, and all what it takes to look after horses. And we have Laurence O'Kane here. A second visit and a great colour you are, just back from a nice hot country. Do you want to see what that country was? It's not the Port Rush we're on about here.
No, it's definitely Australia.
Definitely Australia, and you look well for it. Fair play. So Laurence is a horse owner, and we'll get, I suppose, the perception of being a horse owner, what it takes, investment, keeping in touch with a trainer, and I suppose coming up to race day and different things. But I suppose the important thing, I suppose, for us here and this podcast tonight is to sort of, I suppose, dabble into the past. And was there horse racing going on in the past in Desertmartin and Draperstown? There certainly was. We put the word out. We got some footage. We have some write-ups. I will act here as if I'm organised and I know exactly what I'm going to read out here. I don't, but it'll look as if I do. So I suppose I'll just give just some certain dates and things that we found. I suppose first of all I would ask Alexa, yourselves, Noel and Laurence, can you remember anything way back in the past? Is it something you know anything about? Or
no, very little. Well, from my point of view, it's the races up at Gohore in the 80s, which was my main memory.
I was remembering up there, I was only a cub at that time, it was probably only about 10 years of age. And my father helped to run it and all that time. And I remember up there, I think he had a horse or two actually running on. Mm-hmm. A boy Lindsay Woods would have trained it in Manor.
Deadly. Well, we'll chat about that. I just suppose wanted to see, you know the way people think if you're into something, you research it, you know all about it. You'd pull a horse out of your name, Lord. 1847, a hall, 215, 20 guineas for the winner. Who was that winner, Lawrence? Have you got a name? No, I don't think so, but it's all right. Here we are. We were looking through friends, some articles and dating from 1886 to 1947. So this one here is, I know people will look here and they'll see Draperstown Annual Sports, but we had a wee chat about that earlier on. I was saying, Laurence and Noel, that back in them days there was racing, but it was along with sports, so like a sports day. And the races would have happened, the sports would have happened, people would have gathered down the town. It would have been probably like a wee mini fla where all the different people would have gathered in big numbers, because I suppose at that time there wasn't actually much going on sports-wise or anything else. So this would have been like, I suppose, like a carnival atmosphere is the way I suppose we looked at it. And, you know, it's all about community and like now, Laurence, getting together, you know, what interest have they got? And probably people going out and on the rip. You know, we can't leave that out. There was people on the tear back in them days too, I think. Around the time. Yeah. And a lot of them too would have been coming to these things via train or on horses. So that's kind of the era we're talking about. So I suppose we pulled up for Draperstown, first of all. The races started in 1884 as part of an annual sports day with athletics, entertainment from the local brass band, as you know, you know, and you know, I just thought I did learn that, but I mean,
very good.
Thank you very much, sir. You want to hear the middle eight? No, but so when you think about that, there, what you had was a great community day. Because you had racing, you had music, you had athletics, so people could get involved in, I suppose, all different parts of the community, and people coming in, I suppose, into the area. So there in 1893, there were the man that ran the land that owned this was Mr. Bernard Gormley from Tonna. So places over the years, Tonna, Station Road, Grounds, the Meadows. These were the places where, you know, where the horse racing would have happened and gathered. It wasn't always the same spot. I think too, looking into it, Laurence and Noel, it was just as much about somebody actually giving you the land to do it.
Yeah.
That you know, that maybe wasn't being worked for.
See Bernard Rogers' name there in the secretary. That'd be a very common name in Straw and Tonna. Sorry, it's
there. You go.
The sentence are still about. So
There you are. So for people out there, are we calling out all the archers?
well, no, but most people will recognise that name. I forget I don't want to use an acronym or a nickname, but I'm fairly sure I know who that is.
If you know in the podcast we'll throw a wee nickname and if it doesn't flow we can take it out.
Yeah, no, it's okay now.
Beep. Noel, you on one nickname? No. I can see your eyes lighting up there. But
I think that's Irene Rogers.
Up there. That's deadly.
Her father, I think.
That's brilliant and really, really good to know. As I say, people came from all around. Like, I mean, the trains, they were cheaper. So it meant that it wasn't just the people at Ballinascreen, it was people from Belfast and wherever the trains would, the connectability, and probably if the trains were there now, it probably would be better too, but was then. And I suppose, and 1946, the reported attendance was 5,000 people.
That's deadly.
Isn't that, like how many people would have been, I don't even know how many would have been in the parish living that time, Laurence. Would you just be in the hundreds, wouldn't it?
Oh, not surely. I'd say 500 would be the maximum in the parish.
There you go. Yeah. So the bars made a few bob, the cooks, the chefs, and everybody else, and whoever was involved, obviously at that time.
I think Ballinascreen was sort of famous for, was it chloroform or some of those things that are one of the
ether.
For the ether, sorry, I couldn't remember. Ether, drafts of ether, so maybe people flocked for that as well. Ether, I forgot. Apparently, it's very good.
As a chemist,
I'd slip up as a chemist there, get that wrong.
So, just to put it clear here, it was never sold out of Kane's Chemist.
No. Before my time.
I think that it became. What would you say? A very sought after thing in the area, and a bit like diamonds and gold at the time, And so, Desertmartin, it seemed from 1926 to 1929, according to Horsing Around article, but may have been going before that around Bradley's Corner, where you just mentioned. So, as I say, that's an old write-up about Desertmartin and back in the day. And I suppose it just talks about, how that Desertmartin, back in them days, it gained its sort of notoriety and fame through horse racing. And then the new horsepower is the scrambler track. So that article there is about how, as a town, the power of horses and the new sort of, I suppose, horsepower is still there in the form of the track. And now, for yourself, being a trainer, that's brought it back even more, you know what I mean? So Noel, you brought it back. Laurence, didn't you bring it back? Do you notice something there, Laurence?
It's very interesting just picking up on the names again. So you've the Gormleys and you've the Shields and you've the families that you would know within the Desertmartin area that were involved in it at that time.
There you go. And some of them will pop up. As I say, we've got a picture here actually of an old Desertmartin committee. From back in the day. I noticed the name there, Paddy John McCullough, a hotelier from Tobermore. I didn't know there was ever a hotel in Tobermore. There you go.
So some people will be interested in that.
So who's just for? I know nobody will be loving that stayed on it, right?
No.
But maybe someone might out there remember it. Maybe they'll put a wee note onto the podcast.
I'm just trying to figure out where the hotel would be in Tobermore. In my head.
So Laurence, I'm looking into that camera, you look into that, and we're making a call out. We want to figure out where the postcode was and where
somebody will know.
Somebody will know. So this is an old committee from Desertmartin, and I suppose I've got a wee sheet here. That picture was handed in kindly when we made a call out by John Johnson, and so I suppose I could go through a lot of people, but I know you two guys were looking earlier on, and there was names that you have mentioned, Laurence and Noel. I was out at Noel's business a couple of weeks ago, and Peter Gormley, that runs the Sperrins Metal, was there, and his son, isn't that right, Noel?
Yes,
and his son rides with Noel. And the reason I'm bringing that up is because there's a connection there. It's in the front row. The second gentleman, isn't that right, Laurence?
Yeah.
And that would be who would that be? That'd be Peter's great.
I'd say great
grandfather. It's from 1926 to 1927. So it's a good while ago. And as I say, there's people in that, like you mentioned, Laurence, names like Shields, and there's names like Rogers, George Rogers, Joseph O'Dowd, Jim Mitchell, Joe Bradley, Joe Palmer, Tom Larkin Sr., Tom Larkin Jr., Dr. Kerlin, Pat McChrystal, Joe Kelly, William Lyle, Alex Lyle, the front row, Matt Shields, Brian Gormley, the gentleman we were talking about, Eddie Gribben. Isn't there Gribben still out?
Oh, aye.
Still Gribben's here.
Yeah, so Paddy Higgerty, and so...
Is that Gribben, the boy with the glasses on, second, right, middle row?
Front row, the third
front
person
row.
over.
I was just looking, there's 22 of them there, Paddy, so they're fairly involved in getting the races going.
I think so.
I guess that's very hard to get a committee of 6 people nowadays. 22 august men.
And they've got a
6 people, and you call a meeting, you end up 2. You'll end up 2.
And there's a man in the front row, the second, he is the bank manager on the back row.
Right.
So they've got a man, Laurence, to flood the money.
I don't know don't know what the banks were like then.
How about you?
They don't flood the money at the moment, you know. So there's a Kelly there. No,
I know you were saying about your great
I'm
grandfather.
not sure. I'll find out if that's Joe Kelly.
And who did you think it was?
Well, my granddad was Joe Kelly, but I'm not sure if he would be.
Well, I suppose it's one of them ones. We'll have the confidence that it
We'll
is.
find out. Well,
And there was another thing, I suppose. I know that was very hickly-pickly there, but it'll all be edited really slickly. And because I know there was times I was trying to think dates and all. I always mess up dates, but I apologise for that. But I have got a wee bit of information here, and I thought it was, you might know about this, but I thought this was really interesting, and it's knowledge out there. And so got this information from Kenny Bradley's site, but but I was also talking to Morris, Kenny's brother. He recorded a CD, the Swan Song, with Nathan in here, and we were chatting today about it. So this man was called Edward R. Bradley, and so Edward R. Bradley was born in 6 Towns in the house.
His father would have been.
His father would have been born in 6 Towns,
right?
And he emigrated that house there, which is done up now. They've done the home house up. Morris said, yeah. Okay. But that house has been in their family for generations and generations. So he went to America, and he was a bit of a guy. He was quite successful. He owned a casino.
Right.
He had other construction business. He had, and the way I'm bringing him up is he was also a horseman, and he has the most records ever of winning the Kentucky Derby.
Holy God.
Is that not deadly news for 2 men like you?
He's from Draperstown.
He was in Ballinascreen.
Well, one of the Padroddies.
Yes. So if you want to go on the site, it's a story. And for people out there, it's is it the 6 Towns historic? What to call it? The site, Nathan?
6 Towns History and Heritage Group.
6 Towns History and Heritage Group. And
sixtownsni.co.uk.
6townsni.co.uk. 6towns.ni.uk. Noelkelly.com. O'Kane Manufacturing, newbusiness.ie. So
there was a time I wasn't allowed into the 6 Towns, Paddy, so I'll look up the site though.
Well, you're not.
No, I'm only joking.
See that wee step there? That was a wee lock-up. So,
no, but I knew Morris's father, wee Johnny Paddy, so that's the same connection. That's very interesting.
And so, he bred thoroughbred horses, like so, and he was a cowboy. A genuine cowboy as such, and he and he owned a race course as well.
Holy God.
And so he was a bit of a and then like Morris said that it sort of, I suppose when he left, it all kind of whatever the museum or the casino and all was all took over by whoever at the time. But for someone from here, for you 2 men that love horses so much, isn't it a great achievement? That'd be like Cheltenham over here, wouldn't it? Do you know?
Far better.
Kentucky, aye.
Cheapest.
Yeah.
Group 1.
Oh, it's all the top racing out there.
And he trained him and all, and
Holy
he was a
God.
bit of an all-rounder, you know.
Jeepers.
So, like for an old turf cutter with a spade and two big strong hands and a big strong back, he done all right, didn't he?
I wonder, is this the joke about a lot of cowboys from the Six Towns area?
Go ahead, throw it out there. Go ahead, Laurence. Go for it. Go for it. Go for it.
I'm going to have to resist it.
But as I say, yet again, it goes into that arena, old friends, of that sort of that. There's always been the love of horses in the area, and you know, and for someone like yourself, for someone like that that went to America and achieved that much in them days, at the early stages of it all, it would probably been far harder. Transporting your horses, what would that have been like then? You know what I mean? And I mean, you'd have had to keep the head down and watch out, wouldn't it? Like, you know,
That's amazing.
so I thought it was something that I would bring up. So I've got a man here, Master Robert's picture, right?
It's not a man, it's a horse.
So for people out there, Master Robert is not a man.
All right. It's a horse. The horse is called Master Robert.
Oh, sorry, Laurence. In 1924, went from pulling a grocer's cart to winning the Grand National.
Right.
The owner was Patrick Murray. He was based where now Bryson's pub is.
Oh.
And it says here, you know, that Francis Murray, relative author of the book.
Yeah, so he has written about this, about Master Robert, the horse.
Very good.
Being a grocer puller's horse and going on to win the Grand National.
Yeah, I heard about that there before.
That's deadly.
Yeah.
Yeah, isn't that a good one
too?
too? Like, I know it's Marfelt, we broke the boundaries and all.
It's not that far away.
You know,
if you've got a fast enough horse.
Lawrence, no, we'll hand out the love to Marfelt as well, right? We'll not be aloof, you know, just as Martin Draperstown.
So what, 1924 he won the Grand National? Is that what you're saying?
1924.
Gosh.
Went from pulling a grocer's cart to winning the Grand National. Isn't that a deadly?
100 years ago.
Not like, so there's another man here that, you know, done it here, and you've got your man
Yeah, I
Six
can remember
Towns.
somebody was talking to me one day that was his granddad done that. He's telling me that story.
There you go. It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
So so I suppose there's a local one of the big races, and then I suppose we'll come now to what would have been in our time when I was going up, and the Cahor playing fields, the races there. So I suppose you two individuals would have been at them races in Cahor, Laurence. Had you got the bug then?
No, I know. It was fantastic to see it coming to the town at that time.
So there it is there. And what another reason I want to bring this up is that Noel, your father, Jim Joe, was. We'll talk a bit more after everything, but for the reasons for this here, he was part of the whole organising, wasn't he? And can you remember that?
He's part of the organising. I think it was through the GA was part to set it up.
Matt Trollan was the chairman at that time.
Matt Trollan at that time.
Yeah.
And there was like a cart van full of tiller stuff would have landed, and they helped to put a set up for field and everything else came into place after that. There's tents and caravans and play area for weans and everything came around after that.
That's deadly. And back then, I know maybe you might remember, but or Laurence, the safety of, because we'll get after talking about courses and all, because you'll explain both sides of the course and all that, but wouldn't have been the great safety, or was there great safety, or was it a case of it had been going on?
I don't think insurance wouldn't have been as strong that time it is now. Now to set up something like that there now nearly be impossible. But years ago, I think they'd have turned a blind eye on it a wee bit and just tin a chance.
And everything was...
There was a small insurance, but very little.
And
my memory of it was that the health and safety wasn't number one priority. It was about getting the races on. So the horses would come around the corner and you'd be standing very tight to a wooden post holding it, making sure you didn't fall out.
Somebody's just holding your jumper.
It's just a bit of rope between you and the horse.
And
a horse breaks loose, says, whoa, everybody hang on tight.
And what, I suppose for people watching this, what was that all about? You know, for you two, like being there, you know, was it about community and or was it about trial and horses that maybe people had, or what was the standard of horses? You know,
Standard horses at that time would have been flapping horses. Boys would have been into flapping, probably wouldn't have been into the track as much.
Do you want to explain that just for people what flapping is? Because I know
flapping would be
flapping's
kind of
another word. Lawrence, you're flapping
years
now.
ago, anybody could train a horse to go and run flapping. You didn't need no licence.
Okay.
Now, still flapping's going on to this very day, and it ends up in Dingle every year, a big flapping meeting. And every trainer loves winners at Dingle, and every trainer loves winners at the flapping even.
Yeah.
So it does.
And would you?
But no, I would have been at the flapping training before I got my licence.
There you go.
But now I'm not allowed to train a flapping horse.
Because
as soon as you have your licence, if you train a flapping horse, you're banned.
So
you have
you're going up. That's going up Premier League.
Yeah, well, up a step.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
But
like still flapping's going on to this very day in Donegal. There was flapping probably Garva a couple of years ago.
And do people bet on that?
Oh, it's done bookies done there.
Have you been at them, Laurence? The
I've been, but I mean that was the concept there was that type of horse, and it's not as regulated. And sometimes people turn up with a horse that's a different colour than was the previous race.
Maybe we got a white polish, maybe we got a white polish on them or something. Change the name.
Change the name.
Could a horse go over with a whole go brown? There could
be two microchips on them.
I love that. So was there hairdressers there? Before fake tan, you're telling me people changed the colour of the horses.
But I know it was my memory of that day in Cahor was very exciting. There was a lot of people there, and I wasn't sure what to expect. I was probably around my 20s or just
right. Yeah.
And it was a great achievement to bring it there. I didn't realise how fast actually went, despite the fact that Noel saying that they're flappers. They're still coming around that corner and Hearns Fields at some rate.
And what kind of rate?
It's still the same flapping will be the same speed as racehorse in the track.
Jeez.
Like if you had a racehorse in track rated 90 or 100, then flapping boys are buying it up. Yeah. Because you can doctor them for bleeding. Basically, the rules is there is very little rules at the flapping. There's no vets there testing.
So do you think there's people breeding horses and then getting them just for flapping?
No, everybody would go to the track first, and if the horse has a slight problem at the track, you can't race. They'd sell them onto flapping fields.
Getcha.
Like in Dingle, it could be horses rated 90 and 100 at Dingle. No problem, easy. Like, and that's high rating. That's nearly like Ascot racing and them here.
Yeah.
Like,
and is the crack good at these flapping size?
Dingle would be, there could be 20,000 people there, Dingle still.
Deadly. Dingle seems to have...
It's dying a wee bit in Donegal at the minute because insurance is bugging it up.
Aye. Is that something that's even tough for you two, owning horses?
Not really, because we're all track horses.
It's regulated that much now, Paddy. It doesn't make a difference. But to try and run a show like that now, you couldn't do that nowadays. What Jim Joe and them achieved that time with the help of the
I'm just looking at the prize money there, £1,500. I'd say flapping's no more than £300 a race now.
Jeez.
Yeah, and that's come back many years ago. That's come back here now, 40 years ago.
That's deadly.
There was 6 or 7 races in that.
Like flapping wouldn't be £300 prize money race now because that's good prize money there for flapping. That's nearly £300 a race, 5 or 6 races.
That's really good. So there must.
It was fairly competitive. Like people, my memory of that was it was very competitive.
Yeah. And I think you got a lot of money geared up for Draperstown racing that time. Maybe double the prize money as every other courser in the Ulster.
That's really good.
North nearly.
That's really good.
They get well looked after that time.
That's really good. And
I think a lot of it was down to your father. To be fair, Noel, I know you probably don't remember him involved in, but he was a brains behind it, and that desire to make it more attractive to there's no point having racing if you don't attract a crowd. As in the crowd of horses.
Prize money, if you had prize money up is the first thing to attract.
That's what I'm saying.
Money talks.
So your father's seen that. I've seen that over the years, and I suppose for I suppose I don't want to jump away, and I'm going to come back in, but just when we're here, I got some pictures in from Johnny Burns, just some of the going back, because I remember you saying, Laurence, when I chatted to you before about John Burns and and Jim Joe, and people been like an inspiration, and so we've got a few horses here that Johnny brought in.
He brought the horse on, or did he bring swinging pictures? Some of these could be dead.
See, since I went, sorry people out there, since I was out at Noel's business, I'm just smitten. I can't look at a picture out saying the horse is out the back getting watered. So this horse here, for people will probably will scan it in, after. But the horse is called Twinburn, and I don't know if you remember it, Laurence. So for people there, just for now, there it is. So I'm going to give you a wee sort of
Twin
That's
Burns.
John Burns' horse.
Aye. So
Yeah, I mean that.
So I
I'd been
want
very
to bring
early
it
into
in
that
because
one. What year is that?
But that horse there, Johnny was saying, there it is there.
Yeah.
With Mary, which would be Johnny's sister. No?
Johnny's sister Mary. Yeah.
And
She lives in Downpatrick, doesn't she?
there you go. So,
No, that's the
it
other one.
Donna?
That's Margot.
and so she owned the horse. John owned the horse.
Aye.
Lawrence. She owned the horse. John owned the
I know
horse.
sometimes there's some owners put the horse in the name of their family. It's nothing to do with tax.
It's nothing to do with tax. I had my head earlier on. I said, "Don't say anything, Paddy. It fucks it up." But
So that was a very good. Very good horse.
So I wanted to give just a wee stat on that horse there. It won 12 races in a row. It broke down in Cheltenham a couple of times near the last fences. Johnny was saying, I don't know, and then at Cheltenham it fell as well. So, but they had really high hopes for it to do well at Cheltenham. Johnny says, and it was doing really well. Like 12 ones in a row has to be good.
Oh, amazing!
And so that was that one there. And as I say, it's,
You see the colours on it, Paddy, the dairy colours. That was John's colours. As an owner, each owner obviously, as you know, has a different colour. So his was it's like the dairy jersey of the 1970s.
And there's Johnny says you would know this. He says so. This is a horse called, and our horse of John's called Bold Chieftain.
Yeah.
And it's I think it's written by Mick Canaan.
Yeah,
Flat horse.
Yeah.
So there's that one there. I'll just show it to people.
I think I wouldn't like to tell any stories, but I think maybe they did land a bit of a gamble with that horse one time. That's not quite in the Barney Curly League, but it was close to.
Johnny says there was an unusual large. There was a one. Let's say there was a one, but it was hard after that to get an odds. No, Noel, do you know what I'm talking about?
There's a brave gap to the second horse. They were looking at that picture.
It was
how would you put that across, Laurence, as a horse owner? How would you put that across?
I think probably the horse was on well for 3 or 4 runs and then suddenly found his feet.
I'd say just to change. I'd say change the goal and they just put blinkers on it here first time out. Use the blinkers for excuse.
No, they were.
You always have to make up excuse before you start.
That was a very decent animal. I think that horse was killed or killed itself maybe by banging his head off the wall or so.
Well, and I suppose it wouldn't be without I suppose showing a picture of John himself, and that's the Bold Chieftain there.
That's Bold Chieftain
with John. I don't. Johnny didn't say where that was at, but
John was some character when it came to horses. It was him got me interested in them.
And I had to bring this up because Laurence, you're a medical man. And we have a doctor here about to show you, right? So this was back in the day. John and Mrs. Burns got them, and Dr. Cyril.
Oh, Cyril,
so for all those people out there gasping as Dr. Cyril Harkin.
Most people remember Cyril riding the horse around the surgery, which was always an interesting thing. He was a great character too. He loved the horse.
So we thought we'd just put him in, and that's an old picture there too. No, give me them there. I have you loading up there an old pile of pictures. Yeah, good man. I don't want to break any of them, then because Nathan kicked one over earlier on there, but.
John Burns would have been either ran around with, there was 4 or 5 of them that were huge interest in Frank Timney. Frank Timney actually bred a winner of Cheltenham one time when I was at Cheltenham.
That's deadly.
So they would have been running around together, and there was some great exploits around Sligo, I think. I think there was one particular incident where they all went off to the Sligo Park Hotel, or three twin rooms booked. They all went down to back the horse of Frank Timney's, including Frank. And Pat Gormley was with them at the time, but Pat was riding a horse in the race as well that had no chance. But so they all had their money on Timney's horse, come up around the far end of Sligo, and was leading by about 10 lengths. Next thing, this thing came out of the clouds, so the jockey couldn't hold on to it, ran up the near side rail of Sligo, which you wouldn't want to be, as you don't know.
Pat Gormley.
And Pat Gormley and Pip Timney's horse on the line. So when they got back to Sligo Park, Frank had disappeared to Draperstown, and they all had to find a way home. I don't think he was pleased.
Oh, jeez. And I suppose, like, I wanted to show them people just, I suppose, because they were involved in and Johnny and his father and whatever else. And I wanted to come now to yourselves and how did you know, the interest of horse racing for both of you? How did it take off for, say, like yourself first? No, for just people listening.
Well,
know?
probably to now for me, because probably I was knee height. My dad always had horses, always went to racing every Sunday. Started off down to the flapping down to the years, like every Sunday from Easter Sunday till September, October time. Like we were in Donegal or somewhere, car load of us away every Sunday. That was our day out. We went. He always had a horse or two and thin with local boys from Sperrins and stuff, you know, that way.
Deadly.
And so every Sunday was a better crack to get away somewhere for the day. That's all you knew. You just jumped in the car and away you went.
Would it have been a whole family day, or would it
would
just
have been a whole family day. Like
yeah.
it would have been 7 or 8 hours in an old Volvo car and a stick car.
Deadly. All seat belted and all just.
All legal for the road.
all legal. All legal.
And that's all you knew. Like he always had a horse about him. You know what? Ever since I knew him, he always had a horse. You know.
Yeah, and can you sort of? I suppose your father got arrested. Can you remember who sparked him, or did he ever speak to you around a table, or to any of your boys, or?
I don't think so. Like he always had a horse with a boy in England, Kane Bridgewaters, and he had relations in Birmingham, and Birmingham was nearly local to the track in England for all the racing. Like there was maybe 10 racecourses just on around him every Saturday and Sunday. He's always meeting on summer.
Wow.
And he went over there back and forth and kept a horse with him in England. I don't right know how he met him with Kane Bridgewater, but he met up with him, and he's always very friendly with him. His horse is on with him, I'd say 20 years ever since I remember.
Brilliant.
So he had.
And you kind of then just sparked on yourself the next.
Aye, well, he always had a horse maybe injured and home and had to do a wee bit and
that's good.
tin him back. And whenever you're in age at 12, 13, you've had a handler racehorse, I was always knocking about with him. And then he had an old brood mare and foal, and he'd always kept something about the house just for like a pet nearly, more than any.
Yeah.
No, that way.
Yeah.
He always bred one down through the years.
That's deadly.
When saying that, none of them was any good, but he always had an old mare about for breeding.
He'd be looking down there, had some good ones, he'd be slapping down from
He doesn't have many good ones. He started off the wrong foot of breeding. If he hadn't started off with good one, he might have had luck, but
well,
the breeding was no good to him. But he's always lucky enough with horses.
yeah, no, that's good.
Yeah, he had one of the wits, hadn't he?
Aye, one of the what's one at Cheltenham.
Aye.
So he had Henry Kane Bridgewater.
That's brilliant, you know, brilliant.
So
and what about you, Lawrence? When were what was your spark?
There's no background in terms of the only horse that I ever knew about in our family was my father had one that ploughed a meadow with at the time. I don't think it ran too fast. It's a bit like some of the ones I have now.
We're all looking at Tupper.
But no, I took an interest in it when I was younger. I don't know why. Back in the Irish News, it was always Red Hand and Course Wire. It was the two tipsters. I would nip into Ethel Regan's 20p in a horse for when I was obviously 18. Perhaps a bit less. So I'd always an interest in betting, or just having an odd small bet, and then after conversations with John Burns and Jim Joe as well, I was over. I met Jim Joe at Warwick one day, and he looked after me and I said, "God, this is a great day out." It is such a when you get to know people within it, and people when their neighbours or friends meet at it, they're well to take you in and say, "Come on, sit down here." And,
can you learn if? I suppose you learn if them people.
You learn.
You always learn every day.
Well, you learn how to treat people as well. It's a sport that there's no religious divide. There's no
there's a good
divide.
Respect on it. You know what I mean?
There is surely. I know it's a good. If you, it's one sport where you can go with all age groups and all types and have a good day out.
That's
which
brilliant.
is so. I learned that early on. But John had a couple of horses in Ireland for a couple of years, and then John Burns got me in touch with David Byrne in England, and so that was 25 years ago. So I've had a horse always with him since.
And that's a trainer like.
That's a trainer like Noel.
Yeah.
It's quite difficult in Ireland. That's my view on trying to win in Ireland. So in England, just more opportunities, just more racing.
Yeah, and that's interesting. There you're saying about, because I was chatting to Noel out at his business, Lawrence, and like just for people out there to know, like that bit we chatted about, you know, that you're one of the few. Like, I want to go back to the thing I said at the start, introducing you. You know, do you want to explain that? Because you explained it to me about, like Lawrence is saying there, but you know, it's hard to run race here, but it's actually hard to run a training business here, isn't it, compared to the level of what's invested in the UK, what's invested in Scotland and Wales? Am I right in saying that? Do you want to say a wee bit about that?
People in the north would be getting a lot less value for training the horse compared to down south. Like, them boys would be getting a hell of a lot more money we would up here. And even the English people, they'd be getting twice as much, that way.
Yeah.
So what does here? So there's just very hard to take off in the north. It's getting better all the time now because you have a name, that way.
Aye.
Like whenever you have a name, you've nothing.
Aye.
But if you made your name now, you can paddle your own canoe a lot better now.
Aye.
Like I have 101 winners now. I got the 100th winner in Dundalk 2 weeks ago.
Brilliant. Well done.
So that and you have a name now. So whenever you have a name now, you can demand more. That way.
Yeah.
So whenever my father left, he passed away, and I had only my licence. He passed away on Boxing Day, and I went for my licence on the 5th of January, just 2 weeks later.
Brilliant.
So like at that stage for years and years, only taking 1 or 2 horses, and they were my own.
Yeah.
Like you never had an owner even, know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to get an owner here and an owner there. And I think I had 4 horses on 1 year and had 7 winners of my own. And the dearest horse was $2,000. Like
Brilliant.
I bought from £300 to 2,000.
Brilliant.
And that year, like I just got very lucky sunset. That
Yeah.
way. It was just got a lucky break.
Yeah.
So
And how long is?
Then I
how
sold
long
a
has it
couple
been-
of horses then, and just says to myself, my gallop's just not good enough the way you want it to be. So sold a horse and pumped the whole lot back into the
Yeah.
just to have a proper gallop.
Yeah.
And the following year, I had a very good year or two after that.
Brilliant.
So
Brilliant.
I just got that lucky break to sell 1 or 2.
Yeah.
And I had to do it because you're never going to fit a train the way you want to.
Get you. Get you.
I levelled up the whole ground and I dozed a bit and levelled a bit away. And
It looks deadly.
got up a
at the
nice sand gallop and
Yeah.
all. And only if that air I wouldn't be at it now.
Aye.
I just got that lucky break that year.
Aye. And you're happy now the way, because it's a great structure you have with all the young jockeys out in the morning and cleaning out the pens for you, all that there. It's a we have a lot of respect for you too.
Yeah, we're
you know.
still building her up. We're still getting on there. Like we still have to travel to the beach a lot, and we still have to travel to Moira a lot to gallop horses. But bought a bit of farmer land there last year, and I'm going to try and invest in a new carpet school and stop galloping it.
Is that the soft stuff we were standing?
Yes,
on?
the stuff.
That
You
was
see the very
unreal.
top.
I'm sure you
But
know
this
about that,
year-
Laurence. Anyway, that's like
No,
carpet.
You only think I stand on the mountain. This year's in the foot of the mountain.
Aye.
That is in the mountain part, like, but
They'll be
probably
hard
be
as
done the
Neil's
next year.
horses. Do you hear that, Lauren?
This
Foot
thing-
of the mountain horses, horse training.
No,
This thing is
No,
straight up
no,
our
Cheltenham
road.
fancy warm huts and all
No,
that.
that's a lot of the good Cheltenham horses get trained on steep gallops. That's, you couldn't
Well,
do
this
that.
year's only about 12, 14 minutes walk from their house till the gallops.
Brilliant.
So at least they're walking that length to be warmed up. You can walk a bit and trot a bit till it.
yeah, yeah.
So that's the plan down the line.
Oh, that's really good.
because-
And that's really good. And see the likes of, I suppose for you, Laurence, it might be slightly different than for Noel, but do you know, I'll chat to you first, Laurence. Do you know when you go out to, like, maybe like Noel informed me there's gatherings of horses and some of them can be buckmental or whatever. We'll talk about Billy after.
Wrecking Ball Billy.
Wrecking Ball Billy. I loved him, and I think he loved me too. I'm going out to get on his back someday.
He loved his coat.
I loved. So, how do you go about, Laurence? Because obviously it's your money, you're investing in it, and you worked hard for it. How do you know how do you attract it to say, oh, there's a horse there? Or is there people look out for you?
I know it's the same way as Noel does, as describing there about going out and buying a horse at £200 or £300 or £1,200 and making it a success of it and then trading it on. I leave that to my trainer as well. You can have an opinion, but if as an owner with the lack of knowledge that I would have in the actual beast and looking at the beast and saying that I've picked up a bit over the 25 years I've been at it, but even if I was going to the sales and looking to buy a horse, I physically don't go near it. I look at the form or I read the book and I'll say to David, can you have a look at that one? And we've had some success by doing that over the last since 2010.
Yeah.
So the horses in training sale is at Newmarket every year.
Do you want to mention some of your horses there that you felt you've been proud of over the years?
I just looked up the other day. I've been at about 25 years now, so I've had 111 winners in England and had about 7 or 8 in Ireland. So
sitting in this seat, there's over 218 or 19 winners. That's amazing. Well done. You know, it is for a small area.
One of the best ones I had was Hitchens. He was bought him for 40,000 at Newmarket. He won 600,000 prize money. He took us to Dubai, took us to Canada. We were sitting in Dubai on World Cup night, and me and David Barron walking in onto the big archway at Dubai, and they're going, "I'm not sure we actually belong here. What are we doing here?" But the horse took us there. So if the horse is good enough, you can go anywhere. So
the horse becomes like a rock star, doesn't it? You can tour around, don't you?
The horse makes his own name.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm. But I've been quite lucky at those. So I'll identify something from a book, and then I'll say to him, "You go and have a look at the physical specimen." Sometimes not buy them because they're terrible.
And I suppose for people out there, you know, are you talking like from 300 to like you spoke about? It could go on forever. The price you'd put on.
You have to be well.
You have to know when to stop.
I work to a budget and I run it like a business. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing it for 25 years. You'd be bust. It'd be like driving a fast car or rally car.
That's interesting.
No, so you work within your budget. And you try to make the prize money each year to
feed them and train them.
Because it's expensive. It's an expensive hobby if you don't stay on top of it. So you can get very easily carried away with it. You know that yourself.
No, you could get very easily carried away.
So even at the sales, you could.
At the sales, you had to know when to stop it. I'd make up my mind before walking. So that
of what you want to spend and what kind of horse you're looking. And because it was real interesting. You were talking, Noel, about it's something I wanted to talk about too. I suppose the both of you both recognise this. When you're looking at a horse, or the gentleman you mentioned, Laurence, your trainer, you were saying about some horses that are fidgeting and didgeting about, and sometimes you see something on that horse.
Well, Billy came into the sales and he was clean mad. And I said, Jesus, he's a fine looking horse. I said, he'll be a chancey boy in the ring.
He can join me. He can join me in bracket.
Got him for £1,000.
Brilliant.
He's second 2 bumpers and he won a bumper there last year for us.
Brilliant.
And I'd take a chancey boy like that. I'd give him time, like a big yard. They wouldn't be bothered with him on a big yard.
Yeah.
Like Mighty Whitey, he was a bad wee egg. He was bought for $4,000. He's the dearest horse ever I bought. And he's one of the first horses I bought. Go to the
Mighty Whitey won a few.
He won 9. He actually won 10. He was disqualified one day. So he was.
Was he picking a fight or what?
No, Jockey fell off. Jockey fell off in the last hurdle and a lap to go, and he couldn't get out by it, and they flagged him down. And he came on. He actually jumped the last hurdle, and he's 15 lengths clear. But they avoided the race after he won it. So he did, because they flagged the race down. But I was in Cartmail, and the race was that tight they couldn't get around him. So they couldn't get around the last hurdle.
There you go. And I suppose what I would say to you is, like, I suppose for people listening. With you, Laurence, maybe it's just yourself, but Noel mentioned to me about people having shares in a horse and different things. You want to explain that a bit to people, because you said a great quote. You said a great quote.
Very tricky. You need the proper boys on.
You said something about people coming in. They might as well buy into a horse, a whole pile of people, and putting the bet on and never getting any enjoyment. Was it going out to the races, like you said, Laurence, and enjoying the crack?
Some of the boys stand in the bookies every weekend, and heavy enough punters. They don't realise what goes on behind closed doors. They could buy a horse and go racing cheaper and stand in the bookies every week. You know that way?
Yes.
Like they just pump hundreds after hundreds every Saturday. I get back 300 here. No, I have to get rid of it before I go home again.
Yeah.
Like be foolish, that way.
And it doesn't always
work. They don't
work.
realise that they could have their own horse for the hassle that they give the bookie and the money they give the bookie.
And it was interesting you said too.
And maybe never go racing in bush.
Yeah, and what about you were saying too, Noel, was interesting about, when your horses or whatever retiring, you send them to a certain place that they can still live it up.
There's a big estate down Ballinascreen. I send horses down to it. If people's looking at a horse and he's quiet enough to ride, like we'll just give it on to him.
That's amazing.
It's very hard to get some horses away.
And you do the same, Lord? Like a retirement home for...
It's quite a difficult... Not everybody wants a horse, but the likes of Hitchens, he went on to be 3-day eventing. So we gave it to a girl, and he lived to he was 22, and he really excelled at 3-day eventing as well.
Is that like a jumping and stuff?
Dressage.
Yeah, that's definitely.
And then Ventures, who won 11 for me, he's gone down to the National Stud there, keeping him to just show for people walking in for a sprinter.
Brilliant. That's brilliant.
And he was 600 kilogram sprinter.
Well, it's just, I suppose, just for people to know that, people just think, they just, oh, you had your day, and it's not. But listen, it's not about that. You'll always
you want to get the
connect
horse
to the
with a good home, you know what I mean?
Aye.
Somebody look after them.
So that you get somebody look after them, so that.
But as you say, if they're very cross that, you don't want to be giving it to some young
Well,
kid.
you don't want to, if a horse is not suitable to go to somebody to ride, you would get somebody hurt.
You seem to have a good way about the horses when you were out there. When you're.
Well, we had most of ours there would only come on and ride out 5 or 6 lots a day.
Yeah.
I don't believe we were running on jumping on one horse 20 minutes, a fat horse jumping around 20 minutes. We could do that, but that's not natural for horses.
Yeah.
Horses need to get out and just walk up the road gently and take their time, and they'll be riding every horse 40, 45 minutes. You know what I mean? I could cut that back in half and put the pressure on the horses.
Yeah.
But it's not normal, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, they need to take their time, you know what I mean? Enjoy it every day, that way.
Yeah.
Like, you just can't go out and gallop a shit and fire them back on the stable again, you know what I mean? Like, that's not normal. Horses are basically like yourself. They like to be well fed and they like to be warm.
Yeah.
Like, and if you get up in the morning, you don't eat the breakfast, there's something wrong with you. You're sick.
Yeah.
So there's fire around.
We say the man here can make up the paracetamol.
We could give you something for
Some
that.
the doctor.
We're not sure.
Like, being around fed 30
There's
horses.
a famous tablet called Fizz Bombs. Like Laurence knows them. They're quite a famous brand. We'll not mention them. Like
I think I've seen Paddy when he's at war, and I don't think I'm not sure if he's fed or not.
I tell you what, I got fed last. I'm a jockey. I'm training. To be honest.
You've got excited by going out to Noel's.
I tell you. Well, I was on a rally car, but I have to get on a horse. But you'll train me to do that.
I'll get you
down
on
the
one someday.
And
Before this is over, we'll get you on one.
Brilliant, and I am up for it. So, for both of you saying, so we've got the horses, we've got the name of the horses, and we're going to a race course. So from both individuals, how do you prep for that? And what information are you getting, Laurence, in your prep for about to go to race? If you want to,
Well, in my case, where they're mostly in England, so you'll have a horse that runs at a particular distance, and he'll favour particular tracks. Some horses, I mostly buy sprinters, so you're looking at particular tracks that maybe, and then it's distance 5 furlongs. Let's say it's a 5 furlong sprinter, so I'll look at the calendar for the next 6 months, and I'll try and print out where we're likely to go with them. Doesn't always work out, but at least you have a plan.
Yeah.
It's better than no plan. So
is there always a plan every year for a horse to race?
Nearly most of my likes of a 2-year-old that's first time out, or a maiden hurdler or something, or a bumper horse. You'll have different. You'll have to wait and see how they develop and how strong they get. But if you have a standardised horse that's ran a few years, you know roughly where you want to go. And you can't race them, so you have to give them a break in between times. So you need to be sensible. So I've learnt a lot of that over the last.
And because I'd imagine too, premier sports people, as you mentioned, the human body, they would be very honed on these horses. Either
well, they're proper athletes. They're horses that can run 40 mile an hour.
And say the likes of.
We always say it's horses for courses, and horses go on different surfaces, and don't go in other places. Sometimes you take a horse to, there's 3 or 4 other places, and you can take one to one, run well, and take them to different places, and run bad. So you know not to go back there again.
Yeah, so it's not good.
If a horse won a race last year, you try and line them up for the same race next year, even though something had them with Queen as a bonus. You know what I mean?
So, for the likes of yourself then, Noel, someone like Laurence is at the other side of wherever the race course is. So what's your preparation then for the horse? Could you explain to people what happens in the morning, when you load up your lorry? Or is there a routine you do? Does the horse loosen up? Stupid question before it gets in the
we'd always, if you're heading away early in the morning down south there, say at 7 o'clock, that horse will be fed at 5. And you'd always feed them with 2 hours before they leave. Then if it's far enough down, you tie a hay net up and let them pick away hay the whole way down the road. Someone's very agitated, I let them eat hay the whole way down, so that it doesn't do them no harm, as long as you give them a gap for a couple of hours in between the race.
Get you.
And you'd always stop on the way down, give them a drink of water, so you would. And we'd have all the gear and everything sitting in the horse box the night before and the passports and all. So basically, the only thing you had to do is get up and feed them, then jump back into bed again for an hour and a half.
And so you mean passports is like, is this the horses?
Horses' passports, you have to, it has to travel with you everywhere you go.
Brilliant. And is that so people aren't fixing races and changing
There's
the
no
horses?
fixing races. If you go on now to a turf club there, they have a scanner like your phone. They go down his neck and beeps half, and the horse's name goes up in their phone.
It's brilliant.
Like there's no fiddling no more.
And
one time you could have done it, but it's tightened up a bit.
And I can tell you now, people looking at this camera, these two gentlemen, what we're talking about there, never done it, right? Never, ever.
No, it's quite. No,
I don't hear evers.
no.
I'm trying to save this here.
You couldn't. No, you couldn't. In reality, it's been like that for a long time. So
and the track you can't. Flapping you could have, but not mostly.
So flap away there, people, if you want to do a dodgy deal there.
but they're no. It's very highly regulated. And in terms of medicines and all too, it's hugely regulated.
Yeah.
You could the Irish Racing Board can land at your premises anytime.
You have medical books and everything now.
Yep.
They do a check-up. They land, do a check-up on see every horse, every passport, everything lined up down the yard. Everything's microchipped, any cuts, animal health worth, the horse,
and as I suppose,
everything right through.
Suppose that
there wasn't me 6 weeks ago one day. So
I suppose that protection you two and you gentlemen from maybe if somebody stole a horse, is that right, or things like that? Or
yeah, well, you'd never get away with that there now. Like all microchips. And
that's
all
what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's a good thing.
It's about the horse's welfare too. To be fair, Paddy, it's, and some people are against racing and feel it's terrible, the horses and all that. But you go into a yard, you've been in an old yard. Look at the way they're looked after.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
It's amazing.
Unbelievable.
And the people that work with them love them.
All the young people, Lawrence, you've seen them, different squadness.
We have physios on every fortnight, and a horse's teeth done every 4 months.
And the blacksmith was there. We were there.
Horses warmed down, everything. Everything's all clockwork.
And you could see that.
Yeah.
And like we were out, Lawrence, there was horses going round.
Either in the walker.
And then there was ones up, getting loosened up, running.
There's no waiting list for horses compared to humans. If they need a physio, they get a physio.
And I seen a lot of horses quicker. I don't want to make any reference to
that. Like a doctor. If you're looking at a doctor, you can't get one. We looking at a vet, they about the next day, as long as you pay for it. That's the way it's getting to be now.
So
you
vets,
pay for everything.
do you want to mention a vet, and then he might a wee bit of quick sponsorship from the vets there? You don't sell any veterinary stuff, Lawrence?
No, I used to, but I don't anymore. Something happened. I can't remember what. I was young.
It was one of them moments in time. So we've got the horses packed. Lawrence, you've been tipped off where to arrive, what race course. So once you arrive, obviously, Lawrence, you're excited about your horse racing. But once you arrive, will you tell the people out there what the sequence of events is? Like, you're coming up to the racetrack. Is there a certain route you go on? Is there?
Yeah, there's always a route for horse boxes, a sign for the thing, horse boxes. But you nearly know every course now where you're going to anyway. You pull up, you have to go up and take on all the bags and all first. And we had to pass a wee ID card to get into the racing lane. And there'd be 2 men at one gate. There'd be a man at the main gate that we go through. Then there'd be another man at the gate before you go into the stable or before you go into the breed ring. And the whole lot on side's all blocked off. Nobody else can go inside that yard. Like no spectators, nobody gets in there at all. You have to be involved in the horse to get in there. And you get a wristband as soon as you go into the gate. And that's it for the day. As soon as you go in there now, your horse is 10.5 the thing. It's trotted up and down. We show you 100% sound. Then after that we give the horse a wee wash, take him around, give him a drink of water, and put him in the box. So they
sounds deadly. So I suppose
give him a walk for half an hour. Depends how far you're away from home, or depends if you got to walk that morning. So we'll let them out the paddock some mornings for half an hour before they go.
Just
to
listen
up, fresh air.
Yeah. When you arrive, then I suppose how does your for people out there so they understand, for those that look at you're saying like horse reports and different things, you'll see things like 1 and 3 and maybe 4 and a 5 beside it, and then maybe an R5, and then it wins a massive race and it's won again. Could you explain to people how that happens?
Change of ground.
I've seen some of Noel's runnings with not so many numbers in front of it, more letters. When you see the P and the F, you understand what that is. Are you unseated and fell and pulled up, and then all of a sudden
3 ones in a row.
It's a very surprising 33-1 shot.
That's the always says quirky horses about.
So how does that work? Is that how that works for people out there? No, just for people understanding that if you won more races, you've got lower bets. Is that right? You're like a favourite. You go down.
No, but in simple terms, every horse has a rating.
Right.
So the rating then determines your weight.
Yeah.
So the ratings in the flat roughly run from about 40, which is a pretty terrible average horse, up to 125, which is your Shergar, 130. So every horse has a number between that and that.
And that's that how it gets.
And then your weight, your grade that you're running depends on that.
That's that.
So if you win races, you go up in the weights, you go up in your rating.
So the horses are all much similar. Like
every horse has a rating, and every one of yours, Noel, has a rating. Yep.
Say, like she got a Dundalk race there. The lowest rating is 45 to 65. Yeah, and it goes in 50 to 70, 50 to 80, 50 to 90, 50 to 100. And that's basically class of races you're all on. So there's, say you had a horse there, I had a horse there last week, Darkin. He won a 56, and he put up £11 for one race he won. Like he's 67 now, so he's at the bottom grade. He's up into the second grade now.
Gotcha. And what kind of price on a race would that horse be? Like 10 to 1, 20 to 1, or what way would it sit?
Oh, he would have 7 to 2 or so. He was nearly favoured to take.
So that's pretty close up.
Uh-huh.
And
like he never should have got that rating. He put up £11. Like he's 9-year-old.
Aye.
But they were sore enough on him.
They overreact sometimes. Is
that the bookies panicking? Is it?
It's not the bookies. No, it's a handicapping system. So no, it's supposedly a fair system, but it's.
Well, probably because all the money came from it.
I think they do take note of the fact that sometimes they take note of who the trainer is and what the horse has done previously. And then if it suddenly jumps in, it's been a 20 to 1 shot for 3 runs and 7-2 favoured. If I was a handicapper, I would be taking a dim view as well.
It's a bit much. £11 is a bit much for one race for a 9-year-old horse.
You'd probably take an 8.
He didn't win the same race that time last year.
Give the man a horse a price, would you?
Give him a chance.
And, well, Laurence, you had a horse, Cargan Bua.
Cargan Bua,
and just for people out there, there's a CD was out called Song from Sounds of Ballinascreen.
Yeah.
Father David, Breeze, God rest her, and Mickey.
Yeah. It was a song that was written by my great uncle Francis, my father's uncle, in America. And Cargan Bui's a field out in Munyon at Springvale where my father, grandfather, and great grandfather were all reared. Amazing. So when you get a yearling or you buy it new, you have to name a horse. So I just picked that as
a brilliant name.
But it hasn't so far brought me that much luck. So.
Has it not? No.
I think the wee, but I think that's yellow. So I think he may be a little bit yellow. But he will win the next time out. That's one for the viewers. So.
One for the viewers. So Laurence, would you pronounce the horse there again?
Cargan Bui.
And so the race is on next week. Will it be out in 2 weeks?
No, about 3 weeks or something.
4 weeks time the horse is running. No, we're on it.
Yeah,
Have you any wee tips for people just when Laurence is firing it out there?
You should have asked beforehand to think on it. Give me a wee minute.
And as I say, we chatted there about your inspirations and different things, people that would have inspired you and over the years.
No, I genuinely have a strong view on it with the number of years we've been at it, that there's not a wild lot of difference between all the trainers. It's just it's the quality of the animal you can afford to buy, and it's how deep your pockets are when they go wrong. So to me, it's as an owner, and it's different for Noel who's using different training methods. But as an owner, it's just living within your means and keeping within what you believe in.
I'm not saying for a figure, but is it like or to scare people off? That's maybe listen. Is it an expensive game? Has it got more expensive?
It's more expensive.
And since COVID,
everything's got more expensive, and obviously feeding animal feeds got expensive. So now if I have a horse that I own fully on my own, I have to clear 20,000 of prize money each year to break even.
Wow.
So that's always my aim. I set the target on that every year. Any horse I have, some of them I own 50-50 with a trainer, and some of them I do own my own.
Yeah.
So you've got to be.
And that seems to be a lot of prize money.
I had 9 horses in training last year and 170,000 of prize money. So I was nearly there in terms of we break even.
Yeah.
Because you do. You cannot keep doing it unless it'll not work in the long run. It's a business. You have being an owner is a business. Being a trainer is a business.
We've switched it a wee bit from buying young horses to selling them on again now. Like we sold 3 there last year and 2 the year before, you know what I mean? And they could have been very good horses. The way years ago I would have kept them horses, I would have never sold them, you know what I mean? But we bought them to 1 point of points to sell on again. Yeah. Like, and we got a good enough return at them, you know what I mean?
Yeah. That's a real art. Noel, you're describing that as if it's handy done. What Noel does there is amazing. Like that.
Like you're buying an unbroken horse at 3-year-old to get him to race track at 4-year-old and jump 3 mile and 18 fences. Like, it's hard work. Like, we travel them roads. I've got my own point to point fences, and you seen the school strip and all in there now. And we built our proper fence at the same as race courses here now too, birch and all on them. We got them cut down there last week and stuff. And just to save you travelling away all the time every day.
That's deadly.
So we were trying to get it all done at home while we're travelling, you know, that way. But I think that's going to be a way you might have to go down a wee bit more, you know, that way.
Yeah.
Just because even the travel to the races now is a lot of expense and everything away, far away.
Yeah.
Just trying different methods. Like we've got Dundalk horses, we have point-to-point horses, and we have track horses.
Yeah.
And getting on money now for gambles is very hard now, So that it's getting very, very difficult. There's too much online, and computers have tied up too much.
So do you find there's not as much betting goes on at the actual track compared to people online looking at
everywhere you go, you see bookies there for Ladbrokes and Paddy Power and all before Cheltenham here. Oh, sign up and give you free £50 free bet and all that there.
Yeah.
You go on with a bet, they wouldn't take it. They put you out.
So as a owner, you can't bet.
No, the owners can't get on.
And what about yourself? Is it hard then to be?
It's very, very difficult to get a bet on. I'm not a big punter. I like to get I've had a couple of good punts in my life. We did one a few years ago, which annoyed the local bookmakers quite badly because we drove. I actually grew a beard for 3 days,
and the price of razors too.
Well, particularly at O'Kane's. But we went down. I didn't tell any of my friends what I was doing, but I went to Belfast with one of my colleagues who
a small brown bag.
A small enough bag.
Big brown bag.
As much as we were prepared to lose. And I went round, another fellow went round in Ghana, another fellow went round Derry. And we just put on like £100, £80 here, there and everywhere. Till the horse was 6 to 1, 7 to 1. And as soon as they caught on what was happening, which was about 5 o'clock, the race was at 5:20, he was into 7 to 4. But he was on and we were on. But when we went to collect it, that was just tolls and the local ones, and we basically told us not to come back.
But they had to pay up.
Oh, I had to pay up. It was a fair bet. It wasn't. We didn't do anything wrong. The horse was on his third run, and I think they expected it to be as bad as the first two. And it just, it wasn't that we did anything wrong. It was just the horse ran terrible the first twice when we thought he would run well, and he was in a shocking bad race.
And you were right. He did run well.
He did run very well.
We'll not tell you how much is lifted in them wee rounds there.
But I was just saying, it's reiterating Noel's point that the bookies don't take it well if you get a few pound off them, and yet they're quite happy to take your money on the other side. I'm sure you find it more and all.
They're quite happy to take it, and if you did want it now, you have to show your proof and ID and everything to get that from again.
Oh, so but I suppose for people out there, so it's hard for a trainer and it's hard for an owner to put a bet on. Is that? Do you kind of watch it?
It's getting very difficult now for the whole show to make money after.
There's so much data. On everything. So if you put on a couple of £100 the night before a race, or £100 the night, or even maybe £50 the night before a race, or £20, all of a sudden the price of the horses, could be 10 to 1, could drop into 5 to 1.
They panic.
They panic. depending on where the source is, and they've got so much information.
And because it's digital now,
there's
as soon
so
as you
much
put a bet on my
information.
card, they've got you anyway, haven't they?
I wouldn't. I don't have any online accounts, and I wouldn't have them
Yeah.
because it's just not worth it.
So cash is king on courses, is it? No, or not anymore?
Even at the courses now, you have to show your ID and maternity bill and passport.
If
if you
it's
look
to do
now-
with this affordable gambling rules.
Yeah.
What the hell?
It's nonsense. Like,
You know, like you don't want to fly to Spain. You want to put a fiver on a horse or whatever. It is, at the end of the day, and that seems
Yeah,
very.
you can very tight now the whole show.
But who
It's just
benefits
trying
out
to
of
make it more
that?
difficult for everybody.
Do the big companies? Not saying any of their names, they don't need advertised, but do the big companies up there, is that who kind of controls all that?
No,
the pricing and.
but it's also a government directive in around trying to protect people that are gambling too much.
Yeah.
Which I can understand.
Yeah.
The theory of it is
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
But just the way they've brought it in it's been debated in Parliament at the minute, so it's crazy. Like,
But I don't think it's, I suppose, horse racing's fault that. That's one of the oldest traditions. I think because of, I'm not naming sports,
Football,
but
yeah.
I think it's the other sports is big. You can put a bet on a table tennis match now.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not back. Like you said, Laurence, like all sports come back earlier on. People saying, "Oh, don't race, whatever." But people say it about boxing. They'll say it about rally, and they'll say that. But at the end of the day, or motorbike racing, at the end of the day, the people that get involved in that love it. They know, I suppose, what may happen, if that's all right to say, and but they're professional, they're trained up, the horses are trained like athletes, your jockeys, I'm sure they know how to fall, everything with it, and I didn't know that all about having to sign in, the passports and your identification and the horse and all. I think the horses have been looked after better maybe than some sports people in clubs,
Yeah,
if you get me.
very well looked
Do you know what I
after.
mean?
Yeah.
And so that leads me to, I suppose, for the two-ins, favourite tracks, or is that what you call them, tracks
Yeah.
or gatherings? So if you want to even say your first experience, your first track, what we talked about earlier on, would have been maybe up at the Cahor playing fields. You come back to what should have been a bit sort of, let's get out there and fucking do it, and no safety. And then now you come, as you say, you're signing the horses in, everything goes with it. And so what's your favourite tracks and to be at, and that your horses have been at to perform?
One of the first winners I had I won the first race at Loch Breckland point to point, and I came to Toom one point to point. And Toom, there's always get a lot of local people there, and even a lot of Draperstown people would go to Toom point to point. Even still to Loch and Munsko, there's point to point to Toom. And you always stay in line one up to go to Toom point to point, because you always get a lot of local ones here.
In Toom?
So in Toom point to point, yeah.
And when does that be on for people listening?
I think it's on about 6 or 8 weeks' time again.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
And do people pay in? Or?
No, you pay a fiver, you come on in, no problem.
And where was that again? Sorry, did you say?
Toom point to point.
And whereabouts in Toom?
It's down at, what do you call that place? Is the Means, is it?
I've never been at that.
Have you
Laurence, this is a place for
soon
us
as
to
you go
go.
over it's Money Glass.
Money Glass.
Money Glass.
It's AP McCoy country.
Yeah.
Badly.
So there's some fantastic tracks in England, some fantastic tracks in Ireland too, the Curragh and Laurence, but the ones I enjoy going to is York. York's fantastic, it's lovely.
Yeah.
Just as an owner, you're treated really well. Owners and trainers have their own area where they go into. It gives you access to all areas of the thing. But
Free
York's
stout?
fantastic.
Is there free stout? No.
Chester give you a great meal, and the horses run around the outside, so you can't see where the hell you're at. But Ayr in Scotland.
Yeah.
I was over there last weekend at the one there in Ayr and Friday.
They always look after you well.
All Ayr, the food on the Ayr's top class.
I must tell you a story of Frank Timney and John Burns. John Burns told me that story, so I presume it's mostly true.
Partly.
John just said they were going to Phoenix Park one year, and they got as you drive on any course, there's always guys in the gate and all. You wagon, you pull in here, go in there. Frank, the wag Frank in first row. No. So up, pointing up towards the stands. He drives up the hill. Next thing, his boy jumps out in front of him with 2 hands waving. No, up the hill. So he drives on up and finally gets to the owners and trainers and just drives past it as well. Drives up nearly to where the secretary of the race club race course was. Pulls the car right in at the very front of the gate, right front gate. John Burns said there was only one other car, closer to the gate to get in. And he pulls on switcher off. He says, "You wouldn't do that in a mini." Frank always threw a big marker.
That's brilliant.
So don't take a mini to the 100.
So no minis, and that's something too. Just wanted to go back because horses' temperaments. I don't know if you can name a few. Maybe you've bought a horse with temperament, but not just wrecking belly and all, but. You were saying about for people out there, some of the horses you put them in and they want to go in a certain way into your lorry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, do you want to talk a bit about that? About
there's certain horses travel. Like I always say, if they travel the rest and they behave in the way there, put them back in the same spot on the way home again. If one horse now, if you put him on a horse lorry facing sideways, he'll flip a body. I mean, flip a body. He was going till Perth last year. And we didn't even get off the street. I had a boy pulled in to take 9 horses over for me. We were dropping 2 half a there, and 2 half a there, the rest of them was going to Utoxeter and back up to Perth again. So we're stabling them all there. And he didn't even get off the street. So he did. He flipped over, clean over the body, so he did. And that horse will not travel sideways again. Jeez. And he wasn't the same with the stalls every other horse. But he just takes a notion, he just flipped clean over the body.
Is that a common thing?
Common thing for him, because he's always bad wee traveller in that way. But just whenever we spook a lorry didn't come off the street that day, that was it.
And remember you said...
We tried him in our lorry 3 or 4 times after it, and we stood under him, and he was just ready to explode.
Remember you said if you were thinking of changing lorry, but the horse won't know then, will he? That new lorry?
That horse here will always have to be travelling on an open horse box or less a new lorry. Or less a tiller, so he will. He'll never go back on a lorry again. Never. We've tried him on it and he will not go back on it.
That's real
As soon as he goes up and turns a new lorry, he just starts to sweat and boil.
There you go.
Like he's just going to explode.
And that would be, so would that mean you can only travel locally then? Because you want your horse box?
Well, we have Tinnermere. He ran in Draperstown there 3 or 4 weeks ago, and we just know how to travel now. We just give him a whole open horse box.
Brilliant.
Just give him a whole new open horse box. We have an hour horse here, unfortunately, he passed away there on Boxing Day. We used to have eye shields in him, just so you couldn't see too much whenever he's travelling.
Yeah.
And he used to shake his head side to side that much. He used to sweat. He used to, you nearly think he's a weaver. So he was.
And do you know sometimes you see horses there and they've got the blinkers on? Is that a common thing for certain horses?
Common thing for lazy horses or something, or a quirky horse. Maybe you wouldn't want to go buy horses, or so it does. A quirky horse.
What do you mean quirky? Do you mean it's like...
he just maybe go up and hit the front and throw a head up and say, I've done enough for the day, maybe and still a further to go.
Lawrence, I've worked for 2 hours, pay me for 8 sort of thing. Is that what they want? Is it, Noel?
There's horses, you have to get to know your horse.
That's
every
really
horse is different.
I love that there.
Well, they're a herd animal by nature, so when once some of them run up beside the ours, they go, "Oh, this is great." And,
it's me a bit from fucking Cheltenham.
All they need John Wayne and a couple of boys on them, and they just all ride around together. No, but it's you forget that that's their herd animals. So that a lot of them do sort of go, I'm up with my friend now, I'm not going to go past him.
And what about the ones just keep going round in circles as they're coming up to the haddocks? What's that all about? You see some horses, and the jockey even has problems getting them ready to, straighten up, like straighten up before the starting.
Before they start to go in a circle.
Is that just to calm the horse, or is it something?
I say just to warm them up. We trot and warm up and to see if they all get after a good start. Every jockey out there, there could be 10 jockeys getting one instructions who want to be out in front. Yeah. And everybody's fighting for the position, all them jockeys at the start of every race. Like, I know it's pretty stupid sometimes. I always say to the jockey, if you want to be handy, ride them handy. If there's too many boys want to be handy, just do your own thing. Like, if you get 10 boys saying to the jockey, you make sure you're not out of the first 3, there'll be some pace on for the first 2 hurdles.
So sometimes that's too much for some horses.
Sometimes, and the point you're making there too is important, Noel, is around the instruction that you give to the jockey. Sometimes you can overcomplicate it. Some of these jockeys are not working in Mensa, like, so they do need to keep it simple, and you also need to give them the freedom to some extent.
You had to give them the freedom, so you did, because if you don't, you have to trust them to ride the race, because they could jump off far too hard. I see that Wolverhampton stuff I'll be watching there on a Friday and Saturday night sitting in the house. 9 times out of 10 they go that hard to stop. The boy sitting out the back and misses the start and takes his time, and he comes last for and boom, he's gone.
Yeah.
And it's more times than enough, it happens, especially around them flapping.
Is that sort of like what you're saying there is because you have to put that much effort into your horses, what you don't need is some jockey burning them out in the first half of the race? Is that what you're kind of...
There's only one place to win a race is the finishing line.
But there's one place you can lose it, it's the start. You know, if they make the wrong decision at the start. But you need a jockey. You need a jockey you can trust and can understand how a race is. And sometimes they'll get it wrong, and you also got to not eat the head of them every time you get it wrong. You probably know more about that than me. No, they'll all make mistakes, but it's very, very frustrating if you have a horse that's really well, you've got a plan for it for a long time, and it messes up. I went to Chester one day with a horse that I bought the year before. It turned out to be a very good horse called Above the Rest, and I had a plan for this particular race at Chester. It was 30,000 to the winner, and the horse was well, and he was drawn in stall 2, and Graham Gibbons came into the parade ring and said, "Look, just as an aside," I said to him, "You know, this should be fairly straightforward." And Graham was a bit mad. He says, so you've ridden Chester then, Laurence?" I says, "Of course I haven't ridden Chester." So me and him got into an argument about whether I've not. But as it turned out, we, for the first time, we had put a hood on the horse, and we always put a hood on him going to the stalls, so the camel got into the stalls, but he put the hood on top of the hood, and when he went to take the hood off, it was stuck to. And he came out last, and he was drawn on the inside. It's a wee tight track, and we ended up third, beating about half a length. And it really annoyed me, I have to say. But it was my own fault because I got involved with a stupid conversation with him about how easy it is to ride a horse. I
thought you were going to say how easy it is to be a hood.
No, it's easy enough to be a hood. I said to him, "Have you ever dispensed any prescriptions?" I got a bit petty.
So that comes to two. How do you name a horse? Or is it like a few cans, or do you just open a book, or do you drink some exotic whiskey, or what do you do?
It's another thing to name. You think it's very simple. I want to name a horse.
It's like naming a band. It's always been taken, is it? Is there I know
my wife calls it after music now, music and bands now, because we've named that many horses: Crocknamuckle, Mighty Whitey, and all that there. And she starts to name now. I think the last horse says, "Oh My Johnny."
There you go.
So he does.
Laurence sells them. Multi-packs.
We're now allowed to in Ballinascreen.
Small but massive fits all. It's a new brand we're coming out with.
When I opened 86, I wasn't allowed to put them on display. There
you go. Was it?
Yeah. I was frowned upon.
Frowned upon.
No, but
you're looking at me. What are them fucking men on about?
No, naming it is a funny thing, Noel. You do think. A lot of times you'll take who the sire is and who the mare is, and you mix the two names up. So that's one simple way. But I've started naming a few more.
If one was called tomato and another was called soup, they'd be called tomato soup. Is that the way it works?
It's very simple.
We have one in the yard called turkey and ham.
Next time we get a horse, we'll come into Paddy.
Come on to me and I'll soon name it.
There's a horse called Beef or Salmon, and the same boys owns a horse in the yard now, and they named him Turkey and Ham. Actually, I seen him on the TV yesterday. He's 29 years old.
Oh, Beef or Salmon?
Beef or Salmon is 29 years old and he's still living.
That's Joe Craig's horse.
Yeah, Joe Craig and him was.
So that,
you get you're naming that horse Beef or Salmon. That's a man from Castle Dozen, lovely man.
Beef or Salmon, is that?
He ended up
the name of the horse.
A real good horse. It was top grade horse. Grade 1.
Maybe 13, 11 or 13 grade 1s.
Oh, no, surely. But he's a lovely, modest man. Just happened to buy the right horse.
Wow, just good lucky.
You can get lucky.
Is that like and
never won a race in England?
No.
To finish up, he wouldn't. They never travelled in boats to England. To finish up, he flew him out to see what change, and still never won.
Wow. Mm-hmm. He liked the Irish.
Never won in Cheltenham or nothing like that. And he won cleaned up all in Ireland. All the big grade ones in Ireland. Went to England, never won a race, and put him on a bad race one day, and he couldn't win it.
I had a horse one time called Waffle. I didn't name it.
Did you?
Jerry Cushion used to call it Waffles, but he was definitely called Waffle. But he actually finished second 2 years in a row at Royal Ascot on the big Saturday.
Wow!
In the biggest sprint, the Wokingham, the 6 furlong sprint, and he finished second 2 years in a row, and he never won a race for me. Never. And we got to the stage where we put him in a cellar, which is the lowest grade in England, at Hamilton one day, and it was the worst race ever. And I rung David and I says, he's bound to win this. He says, Lawrence, trust me, he'll find a way of getting beaten. And he did. People actually thought he was called after me, but he wasn't.
That's good. So, and like that, I suppose, you know, for the likes of yourselves, for people out there, what kind of prize money are you talking about from one race to, or is it just like one starts at like £1,000 up to fucking £1 million?
Probably those races be £5,000 now, wouldn't they? Most places.
Be £5,000 to the winner in Ireland, particularly.
Yeah. £5,000 for the winner in Ireland. I'd say I could go from there to 200,000-300,000.
Yeah, and what kind of races would you need to be on to win 200,000 or 300,000? Is it the big ones?
Well, I've none of them class of horses anyway. So that's the Wally Mullins, the top horses, top graded horses now. Like you need to see them there. Like there's races in Cheltenham a day, and then big races. There's only 4 or 5 runners in them. You know that way in some of them.
Yeah,
and that's why they're so small a field, because they're that high a class of quality of a horse.
So they're all equal.
Yeah.
And the them horses be breeding. Would that?
I do breeding, but like that's what Noel's up against. He's up against Willie Mullins and the likes of that. That's buying horses. Willie Mullins will have a book. 50 people asked him to buy a horse $250,000 each.
Jeez,
it sells that like so.
That's mad.
And so, whereas that's why I stick to the flat in England. It's a wee bit easier. You can buy something at 25 or 30,000. It might win you. Like I have a horse there, Jerry Bat. I bought him out of Ireland last year. Jerry
what did you?
Jerry Bat.
Jerry Bat.
Aye, and he won a £40,000 race last year, and he was second, and he picked up 85,000 prize money.
Wow.
But he's running at that grade of he's rated about 93 now. So, but he's not running the top grade. But if you target the races,
prize money still.
There's some good prize money on those sort of races.
Yeah.
But you do need it needs to be
a fair animal.
You need a fair animal for it. But you've got Sunday series now, and you've got different promotions.
And how many races would you put a horse like that, Laurence?
He'll run in the course of a year. He'll run 8 times or 10 times.
Wow.
Yeah. Some
plenty you burn them out.
Aye, a good sprinter. Some of them will run. I've seen them run 20 with some trainers. But if you want to have a longevity,
not last.
No, if you want longevity, you've got.
At what age would a horse then for you know what for someone like me that wouldn't know what age
jump
you keep
horses
running
get
a horse?
To 10-year-old nearly come down at 10 or 11-year-old.
Aye. And
so they start at 4-year-old most of them.
Yeah, and the likes of the sprinting.
The flat, you start as a 2 year old and then you finish usually. They don't improve much beyond 8.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get a late developer or particularly a big sprinter like Ventures.
The bookies would love a horse like that.
But you can't. It's just. When you look at the 2-year-olds, you wonder how they can run. But they're fair physical. Some of them's good physical specimens.
Yeah.
But I always see some of the flat horses land at my yard that ran as 2-year-old. The stairs they don't develop on to jump to go hurdling because their joints is not fully developed as a 2-year-old. No, that way. Yeah. I think a flat horse shouldn't run to a 3-year-old, and a national hunt horse shouldn't run to a 5-year-old. Just to get them to develop more of their bones to last longer.
Yeah. Get stronger.
Get stronger.
Yeah.
Like most of my point-to-pointers here now, I wouldn't run them nearly to 5-year-old, and I still wouldn't get them away, you know, that way.
And
sell them on again.
So the likes of, when are you, like you're buying them at a 2-year-old, is that right?
No, I'd be buying them here late 3-year-olds or middle 3-year-olds.
So you have 2 years of years of commitment and feeding and all that there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And is that something like the shared owners? They're obviously happy with that.
Most of them are happy with that. Yeah.
And would you have owners? You don't have to say, but would you have owners all over Ireland and the UK and Scotland and Wales?
I have English owners. I have owners down south. Very little local owners here.
Yeah. Why is that, do you think?
It's just a few boys from Macherfeld and Machera.
Yeah, there was a chap there when we were out. I'm not saying any names.
Yeah, he's Macherfeld. Yeah. A lot of boys here from Macherfeld and Machera. So a lot of older owners here would have been horses for years, like Victor McCrave and type of boys that got there. You know, farmer boys would bought me as 15 years, I'd say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, and they still bought me from day one. You know, that way.
Wow. And is that like share people
No, them boys would own their own horses.
on their own horses?
Yeah, they come on own their own.
I suppose like Laurence, just the same kind
Yeah,
of.
same thing. Yeah.
And so
Like you've owners like a punt, you've owners like try the horses try their best every day. You know what I mean?
Aye.
Every owner's different. I have in the yard.
yeah,
Like owners like to travel over to England, get away for a weekend's crack.
Aye.
In fact, their dad would go to England now. He'd be in his 80s now. He did go to England a lot, so he did, but he's just getting too old now. He'd run them local, and he'd always try and pick a race out for him to go local. You know that way.
yeah, to keep the love of it in life.
Well, they always keep looking. But he says if there's somewhere else and he's going to win, send him on. He says, I watch on TV. You know what I mean? Like, he always get them.
And
He's
I suppose
Watty
like,
boys.
that comes to like for the Bothians, like, and people I suppose need to realise that like anybody that's into like sport or any type of thing or running or whatever it is, rallying or whatever it is, when you kind of get on the track, you know, and you spoke earlier on about the camaraderie between owners and trainers. Is the crack deadly? You know, like you said, Laurence, one time in the last podcast, it was like it's a great day out, as you said earlier on, and for because you notice now, because I know corporate days, isn't that some of your workers would go to Down Royal,
Yeah.
and how lucky or unlucky are they? Have they?
But it's just it doesn't matter what social class you are or what your reason is there to be racing. People mix, and I any track I go to, I dander around no matter where I'm at, and you can chat to anybody.
You're a banterer, but you like.
I like talking to people.
You're a banterer.
I'm not a great listener, but I'm a very good talker.
You're looking at somebody who's doing his best too, and Noel's sitting in between, going, for fuck's sake, I come on here to talk about horse racing. Them two men are battering away there. There's no respect for me at all. No, total respect for you.
David Bard always gets saying, I was good for Noel as well, is first thing you got to train is train the owners.
Some owners is hard work. Some owners is unbelievable.
Well, not mentioning
and
any.
Someone would come at you down the phone and when's that horse going to run? And he's on. You tell me 2 weeks ago he's going to run 2 weeks ago. And someone was.
But do you understand that all horses, like I suppose you do, can't run all the
you
time?
get stone bruises, you get bruises, you get horses scoping sick. You enter him up to run 7 days later, and you give him a last bit of work 5 days before the race. And he doesn't work well, and you ring him up. This horse didn't work well today. But you tell me he worked well last week. I said, well, he didn't work well this week. But I'm not going to start telling you lies. One of the things my dad told me whenever I started to train, and he says, whenever you get your license, he says, tell the truth from day one. And it's very simple, he says, to remember. And that stuck by me.
Stuck by you?
Yeah.
And you seem well respected. Any of them people we met out in the thing have a lot of respect
you tell
for what
us
you're
if the horse is no good, get rid of it. I don't want to feed him. Like I'd rather go every morning and feed the horses a chance to win. See, if he's no chance to win, he's out. He's gone.
He's gone.
He's back home again.
Let somebody else have the problem.
He's down the road. These two men will be selling that horse on for a few guineas extra. Say nothing. Is that right? Is that right?
Aye.
It could go into shoe jumping. What do you call it?
Some of them jump shoe jump.
I know you said that.
Yeah.
And you know another thing you chatted about out in your business was like. People like yourself, you were talking to me certain horses. Oh, that horse, we have to change that there. The blacksmith was there because it was a kind of an infection.
Do you
want to explain a bit about? I'm sure Laurence knows, but as a trainer, for people out there know nothing, what was going on that day?
The fact is, the shoes only about 8 or 10 mil, and we had always give the horse a nice walk up the road before we go into the gallop. Now we built a new lane way back into the gallop. And you could hit a wee pebble on the road, maybe 10 or 12 mil, and that day could just go down. And the frog of a horse's foot's very soft. That could just go down, just stick into it. Next day, he could get a stone bruise in that, and an abscess. You could lose 2 weeks in that day. So that's something so simple. You know what I mean?
And these are the things you wouldn't expect.
You get that there walking onto a race course. You can get that there anywhere. You can get like stones everywhere you see, you know what I mean? Like you can get a horse one foot could roll over and cast in the box, and one leg hit the R, and he could be lame. You know what I mean? There's 101 things can go wrong with a racehorse.
Stupid question. There's no way of like getting a pair of Nikes to go over their heels or anything to protect them.
I
shouldn't say Nike. Do you know what I mean?
There is boots.
Is there boots? Right.
Yeah, there's boots.
Ah, shit, we don't have to
But,
invent it. I was
you've
going to pitch it to the Dragon's Den.
You do get, and you get other shoes that stick on, you get other shoes that have a bit of height in them.
Yeah, for people out there might be interested, what advice would you give? Could they come and chat to you if they were into, what background do they need?
You always get a lot of people there, but we'd have people coming every Saturday morning looking at horses and walking around and taking photographs and people who's interested in business and thinking about horses. But they mightn't come now, they might come back and turn 6 months time down the line, you know what I mean? They always come back, but they always go back and then see if you can get there's a lot of bars now got syndicates and horses, so they're probably the worst people you can get because you can't shut their mouth with a lot of drinking them. So they start talking too much. And if you get a squad of young boys coming to you looking at, I want to gamble, I want to make money in a horse, I don't want to see them because they touch your head. You rarely get the level man come, 3 or 4 boys geared up, no hassle, and come and enjoy their horse.
Get you.
And if he's lucky to move on.
For them, we don't have to say it out loud, but there'd be different investment models, obviously.
There's different horses there, investment now. Like, it's probably getting dear every year to start off now, you know that way.
Yeah.
So it's getting dear for people to start off. It's basically cost of living for young people now. Get married and all, and mortgages and everything. So you always get new people all the time.
Yeah,
and some people's lucky, some owners is lucky, and some people you couldn't train a winner for them. And that's the ones you'd love to train a winner for. A lot of them. So and some of our owners would give you hassle and buck all the time, and they're getting all the winners. But that's the way it comes and goes.
Well, I suppose it's good for people out there listening to know that it's not all about winners. You have to be into it. You have to love the art of horse racing. It's centuries old. You have to take
her off of the smooth.
Exactly.
And you always get your luck down the line. I see. You make your own luck.
It turns out sometimes.
You always make your own luck.
And I would know nothing about the looking after them. No, but I know I love dandering around the yard and looking at them and patting them on the head and talking to them. It's it is very therapeutic. It is, most of my best friends are horses.
Well, the guide editor thinks you have a way with horses, and I thought, I'm going to tell Noel that. I'm going out there.
I can't imagine you being a whisperer though.
No, I'm not. No,
a horse shouter.
No, I'm not. Well, I was horse shit myself at the start. If that's such a word. But
some Saturday mornings up at Gallop, it could be 20 people standing up watching their horses.
It's amazing. And just for people out there,
that's part of it too. That's very important.
And anybody wants to come out for a day, it's no problem. Like, you out on a Saturday morning there, like, and any time you come out and look at them, and there's no bar.
And you had an open day on a way back, it was online and all.
Open day. That little one was play group in Draperstown and raised good money for me. Twice, two opening days.
That's brilliant.
I did very well with that.
Yeah.
People like that.
All the money went towards it.
That's part of, would say it as an owner. It's not just if you're dealing with somebody that's honest and straightforward like Noel and tells you the truth about horse, you'll have a good fun and you can dander out and watch them. It's not just the day of the racing. You do become attached to them.
Because I've seen that out there.
I have one boy that comes every Friday morning away to the cattle market. Never fails. He'll be on a Friday morning. So he'd at 5 to 10 on around to see his horse. We keep his horse for that time he's right out. Then he comes on, gets a cup of tea and a wee poached egg and toast and goes out to see his horse.
Lawrence, does your trainers do that for you, Lawrence?
No, we don't get any
poached egg and toast.
And a soda bread.
And Lord, listen, what's going on?
All sitting ready.
What's going on here?
Every Friday morning.
Every Friday, Lawrence.
Unfortunately, there's not too many tinnies about.
TV's waiting on him coming.
That's brilliant.
He's out the house.
But there is part of it. People do become. I'm the same with David Barnes' yard. The staff.
And do you go over often, Lawrence?
Maybe not to the yard, maybe 2 or 3 times a year. But I love just dandering around. David doesn't like me dandering around. I ask questions. The last thing a trainer wants was somebody
asking questions to the back door.
Asking questions to the wrong person.
You're learning the night, Lawrence.
No. Asking questions to the back door.
I learned that a few years back. I was
ringing up a jockey on the way home from the races. What's your opinion there?
And that's another thing you're wrong about. Jockeys
it happens.
I know, yeah.
It happens. Dangerous. You don't be happy with it because if a jockey comes on, they just say if the horse is no good, tell the truth.
Can the jockeys, will they be honest coming back?
Sometimes they
over
won't. No.
No.
Sometimes, hey, you could tell a jockey, tell an owner whatever you want. But I say that's wrong because you're only taking a hold of shit yourself. And 2 runs down the lane, if a jockey says to me, come on and says to an owner, that horse is going to run well the next day. So if he goes out and runs shit, see. You're only digging a hole for yourself. You're only wasting your time. You tell the truth. It might be no use, but we'll try him on a different track or try him somewhere different. You're on bad today. That's fair enough. You can do that.
Getcha.
But there's no point the jockey running 10th runner. He will be a good horse, but you need to give him an year's training fees.
John Burns told a story. They had a horse. Sorry to keep quoting John, but he's very funny when he talked about horses. And they had a horse. I can't remember the name of the trainer. I should know him. He became the trainer's agent around the tracks. But he was very good crack. They mostly had horses with him because he was good fun. But anyway, this horse ran a 2 bumpers, 2 mile, 2.5 mile. Next thing there was a 3 mile bumper somewhere, the heaviest ground ever. They thought bound to show here somewhere at least. Oh, he's tailed off completely. So they went down to see what Redmond was doing. What was he going to say to them? When they come in, and he stood and looked at them a while, and he said to John Burns and a couple of others that were in the syndicate, he said, I thought your colours looked particularly well today. so there's different ways of breaking the news that your horse is terrible.
And I suppose
I did one horse and them set of colours won.
Is that right?
Yeah. For Eddie, it wasn't for John.
Do you have your colours the same old time?
I have the green and white cross already in with the pink cap.
Brilliant.
And again, John Burns told me to get the pink cap because you can see it out the back.
Well, Johnny came in earlier on, and I didn't take it or an award for inspiration. Want to hear that? Exactly. What's that?
And the jockey's cap, yeah.
No, I wanted to ask you both us for people, I suppose, listening. Johnny brought in like a wee leather hat that he says his father wore. He says every person has their own hat that's connected to racing that they'd wear at the track. So he brought in his dad's. I didn't get him to leave it, but it was like a wee leather one. We sort of what do you call it? Del Boy type.
I know.
Do you know the wee ones I mean?
A cap.
Flat cap.
No, it wasn't flat. Was it leather? Wasn't it, Nathan?
No, it's not. No.
It was like a more rounded. It was more a smaller version of a cowboy hat.
Oh.
But he says it was a lucky hat that everybody.
I have a lucky hat. I have a lucky coat. So.
You have a lucky coat.
I have a lucky coat.
And Laurence, have you got a lucky?
I don't have anything lucky at all.
Do you have any wee medals stuck on there? Like
there'll be medals and we put on holy water in horses too.
There's no harm in that.
There's always a bit. I have lucky underpants. I always wear. After a year,
a bit of a running track effect. But there, it's a hat like that.
Trilby.
Oh, Trilby thing. Aye.
And so
got down Burns' seal, huh?
I know. I don't think it.
Did your daddy have a wee hat, God rest him?
I don't think he ever wore a hat. I never.
And Laurence, you have lucky trunks, but you have a lucky coat.
I have a lucky coat.
And so, Laurence, do you you've got the doorway to it? You have a brother that's good bless all your horses.
I know.
And Father David, no.
I don't think he even prays for them anymore. He's given up.
Hey, if a priest can't make it happen, I'm telling you what.
David says something. Any parish he's in the house because what's in your brother's horse run? He says they're nearly more interested in my horses than they have in the Catholicism, which is a bit of a worry.
Well, we're plugging it here. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. Yeah. And so, no, you have the blessed holy water, and do you throw it over the horses every?
Yeah, there's always a bottle.
Is that a wee ritual that's been going down through the family?
Yeah, just to be lucky to him, take him home safe.
That sounds
more
brilliant.
than taking him home safe. And
it sounds really good. And and I suppose like a horse that's coming from here, like and travelling to Scotland and England and all, is it rough enough for them that length of a journey, or is it do they sleep?
Most of the horses.
You said they sleep standing up. Is that right?
You sleep standing up.
There are people out there.
3 horses over last week.
Everybody know that, Lawrence?
I bet you people wouldn't know that.
There you are. There's a bit of interesting. No, what way the horses sleep?
Oh, just lock your 4 legs.
Lawrence, try it there. Can you? I can see you do it. No, because you do it there.
I think you have to work in the civil service to be able to do that.
So, as I say, we've realised that, I'm sure other people are blessing their horses in their own wee way to keep them safe and all.
Everybody's their own thing,
And,
different way it
and I
is.
say, and like, I didn't bring it up, but I'm sure it's a very sad occasion if you have a horse and something happens that, which can happen, as we said earlier on. And,
that one I lost in Boxing Day, the wee boy that owned it was 94. And he died 3 weeks later.
There you are. And sometimes there's no reasons or...
Well, let's say he's old, but he wasn't that old. So, well, he's old, but he's healthy.
Aye, yeah.
I don't know if it was just a broken heart, lost in a horse or whatever.
Jeez.
He died in January. So
there you go. And that's that going back to that connection, like Laurence, you're saying about your own horses and that connection to, like, I seen you out, you're like a horse whisperer.
Yeah, the horse won 2 starts before. Wee boy Darren McGiltmacher, I read it and Sligo. So the horse was healthy, well, just jumped the hurdle and that was it.
Wow.
Yeah. Just one of them things happened.
And
but thank God the jockey got up and walked away. And I always say you can replace a horse, but you can't replace a jockey.
Yeah.
So there's
And
some of them
that-
boys get badly injured.
Yeah. And they have to stay so they don't seem to, I know they eat, but they just seem to be a certain... It's a
They
tough
eat
game,
very
is it?
It's a tough game.
Going into this, just for people out there, these guys are training, they're going into saunas, is that right?
Aye,
Before and
saunas,
after.
steam rooms,
And I suppose, like, not everyone's successful. Is that okay to say that they're not all successful?
Hey, a lot of them needs a lot of luck, but then I think you make your own luck in the game too.
Aye.
You know what I mean? If you work hard enough, you'd get a fair chance at it.
Yeah,
know
and
what I
have
mean?
you got a jockey that you would say is for you?
The 2 wee boy McGill's ride for me, Owen would do most of the riding for me there. I think he had 11, 12 winners for me last year.
It's brilliant.
And this is his best year coming out. I'd say his last 3 years he's maybe had 20 odd. That's not counting the pointers. Like he's riding a lot of point-to-point winners there for me. Like that 101 track winners, but we're probably sitting with about 40, 50 point-to-point winners as well on top of that.
Every bit is hard to get.
They are tough to get.
And so the likes of
Like if you had a good horse, won a 4-year-old point-to-point, like it's gone to Wally Mullins now. It's gone
so
for
they
big
would-
money. The
You
big
get
estimate.
100 grand for that.
so they would approach you guys.
Yeah.
They watch it.
No, go to the seals.
They go to the watch
Aye.
them.
And you wouldn't even put a reserve on to be gone. Then was just put up and buy it. They offer you that much, you have to sell.
Aye, yeah. Is it a bit like I want it to sound like a bit like the Premier League where there's these teams and they've just got undue money. If that's
Yeah,
like
same thing.
Same idea.
And so
Same
they're
idea.
they're sweeping up all the good. Is that all right to say?
Bullying a wee man out of it just.
You're bullying the people out of it that really care. But
But if the offer's that good,
You have to take it.
it's an interest in your business to turn them around.
But then, does that mean that like they've got a cooperative on who runs in the races, and can they put like you hear sometimes about? I'm not saying certain owners, but we don't watch it much, but I did a bit of research that certain owners maybe have 3 horses in the one race, and there's only 6 horses in it.
Aye.
Is that the case of
same
that?
thing, aye.
No, it was the first race at Cheltenham today. There was 11 runners, and Wally Mullins 6 of them. He trained 6 of them.
Wow, is that an Irish trainer or an English?
Irish.
Aye.
That first race at Cheltenham today, which is normally 20 runner race, would normally have 10 from Britain and 10 from Ireland. There was 10 from Ireland and 1 from Britain today.
Wow. So
Ireland's really taken over in terms of
the training and the winning.
The national hunt, yeah.
And the winning. And so I suppose we'll leave it with any advice from the two ends for people listening. If there anything we've left out, or how to, should they get involved or would they get involved? And also there's probably people out there are involved in horse racing that I don't know about. Maybe the horses that jump, as you say, Laurence, and the sort of posh end.
I think the only advice I'd give is go to a trainer you can trust, like Noel, and develop a relationship with somebody like that you trust and that they know that they're doing the best for you. Yeah. Live within your means, and if you can't afford to do it, don't do it.
Yeah.
Because and don't go into it to gamble. You know,
Yeah.
if you're there for the gambling and don't think the overall game.
It's not a quick fix for money.
No.
You're saying. Yeah.
David Byrne always said the best thing to do for any owner is to give them 2 bad horses to start with.
I had to see if you're going to laugh.
If they get a real good one first up, they tend to think, this is an easy game.
That's true.
It does
but-
happen.
It does
Yeah.
happen.
And then-
Some boy could be at it for years and pumping money on it, and he never gets a horse, and some boy just won the first horse he clicks. Turns out a real good horse.
It's like somebody playing a poker machine all night, nothing comes out, and somebody walks up after it and puts a pound in and wants.
£1 or £2 a whole lot. The same
yeah,
thing.
Yeah, and so I suppose, and your advice, are you like Laurence? Are you like, for as a trainer, keep it tight? Just have so many. Like you said that time, you only want so many horses, and didn't you, into control?
Well, I never wanted to be as big as I was now, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I never wanted to be at, but I am now, and you can't do nothing about it.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm still creeping bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
Like the next generation, like my son was heavily involved on the daughter. She's 16 now. She'll probably leave in school next year. And I'd advise her not to go on ahead and do something else. But at the moment she is on it riding away, so she is, and she likes it.
Yeah.
But it's not a game for a girl either. You know what I mean? It's tough. Like a 7 days a week. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the young boy, he's on it there now. He's 19. He's willing away. He loves it. He wouldn't do nothing else. You know what I mean? That's all he knows since he left school.
Yeah.
He even left school a year or two early.
We were chatting to your son and all.
Yeah,
right there.
Jimmy.
Yeah.
And
But it's a very healthy existence, though, too. To be fair, Noel, for you, like you just work hard and you're up early, and it's a healthy way to live compared to some other.
Yeah, and there are plenty of weekends here. And, like they get loads. He's all over the place. He's in Cork one weekend, Limerick, Sligo, Galway. He's in Ayr last Friday, so it was on Saturday, a 2-day meeting. Like, he's never stopped. Like, every weekend, like, he fill her up a diesel and we're going somewhere, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and even Tipperary for point to point on Sunday.
Yeah.
Like, and
so you're always going, and like even that time we were out, Laurence, this man here, 7 days a week all the time, and people should know that just watching this, that you don't get any time off, because your kids bought you a one-night trip to Donegal, and we were out that day, Laurence, and that was your first holiday. You said,
I was out doing it.
Aye, and even to try and get away from the
you have to try and get away, like,
and so I suppose, like
I bought a wee place in Spain there, but you can't even get out there as much as you'd like.
Me and Laurence will get the address after. Laurence, you like a wee trip to Spain?
I think it was that. I think he bought it under that 7-2 shot that he didn't nail there.
I've gone on to the airline small
that's why you
person.
put the money into
I've gone on to the
something.
airline
British horse
small
going to get it
person
back.
ticket. I've gone on the small person ticket. I don't take up much room in your villa. But look, thanks very much
Well, that's
for
why
coming
I
in.
bought it, because you can't. I'd rather put the money into something and give it back to them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? At least you invest in it.
Fair play to you. But you can tell us the address after. Like, we are serious. Like, I can see us cantering on the beach, Laurence.
I can't see me and Paddy going together.
yeah.
If we do have the address, it'll be 2 separate weekends.
I reckon we'll both be arrested. But look, thanks very much, Noel, for coming in, and thank you, Laurence, for coming in. And because I know you short notice you were away and you're only back, but. I suppose I'll just look over here, and I wanted to say on behalf of Voices of the Sperrins, which was funded and sponsored by the Heritage Lottery and the lottery players. So people out there that are playing the lottery or putting getting a scratch card, whatever it is, have definitely helped towards this project, and it's brought money into this area, which is good, because I suppose, like anything else, it's not an area that always gets funded as such, and we're really happy with the project. As I say, for me, Laurence and Noel, it's people stopping you in the shop and people talking about your podcast, talking about somebody else's local podcast, talking about stories that, like you have talked about tonight, that the people won't have known about. They won't have known about John Burns, your daddy, Jim Joe, being so innovative in horse racing, and that's why it inspired you. And and people maybe listening away from these parts, and you spoke about that, Laurence.
No, it's amazing. No, Paddy, I know. I met a man today who was at school with me. I was walking along the Dalewood Road, and one of the Henrys from Navi, and he said, I really love those podcasts from the Sperrins. They're brilliant. He says they're really, I get a story every time. And he started telling me some of the things that I said that I'd forgot. I'm not saying I remembered it all. Not saying I made any of it up. No, but it actually just happened today as I was walking on the Daynoid Road. So,
that's amazing.
So just let you know that people are picking up on the
so we can tip Noel after that. He will be stopped.
He will be stopped.
He'll be
stopped for tips.
Tips, Noel. You'll be the man. You're the boy. Here, you're the boy of the horses. And you'll be tortured, but in a good torture. And as I say,
all the time about it.
It's brilliant. And as I say, we were able to capture, I suppose, so much in the area. You know, there's so many great things in this area, and what you're doing out there and all is brilliant too. You know, and even going back to the start, horse racing has been in the DNA in Desertmartin and Ballinascreen for hundreds of years, and I didn't really know much about that, but that has been the case. And horse racing gathers people together. It's a community, as you both said. People can take part in it. Nobody stops you going to the race course to make a bet.
Yeah, and anybody wants to come out for a day at my house, I don't stop them.
Brilliant.
Like, I have old people comes here during the week and sits in cars and watches them.
That's amazing.
So that you could see up to 5 or 6 cars coming out there and seeing people come
That's
back
brilliant.
the following week. No retired people now coming
That's
in.
brilliant.
On a Saturday morning you could see guts of 20 people around.
There was a
the
lot
yard.
out there at the time we were out.
Yeah. You can see it happening all the time.
And credit to you. And as I say, there'll be a wee video come out. We're showing it. It'll be after the podcast, Laurence. Really interesting, some of the stuff. And thanks for saying about people in general. And I find people that or stop me randomly, and you know, even people quoting that I'm not from Ballinascreen, Draperstown, but it could be.
Yeah.
So if you go back far enough, we're all kind of the same old blabbers. Is that the right word we were looking earlier on there?
But no, and some of the historical stuff, Paddy, it'd be very interesting to pull that together. I know that Morris Reagan was talking about putting something up in the lounge to let people see the history of it. So it might spark a bit more interest in terms of the horse racing.
Definitely. And funny you mentioned Morris. Will we make a call out, because I was very interested in doing one about the bars. There's not many left, but I was looking at Straw Dog. Is that the right site?
Yeah.
Good people. So if you've ever any time, it's a website called Straw Dog. I don't know if you've been on it, Laurence. I'll send you the link. So this gentleman has went round where all the old bars would have been, that maybe now are just old buildings.
Oh yes,
and
I did see about that. Sorry,
he's landmarked them all, and but I don't know if it's a rejoicing thing or a sad thing. I don't know if the town's become saved, but we're down to very few bars, and it's reached out. It's a change in times, you know.
Change in times.
Okay, and so I'd be real interested for Morris, you know, to come in and chat about the history and heritage of Reagan's and that whole bar thing, because at a time it was massive. Town lands, you'd remember out down out Moninina, McCullough's, is that right?
Yeah, there was 21 pubs within the parish at that time,
and
even when I was growing up. So
there you go. And so
every hour door. Every hour door is a pub now.
Yeah, and I suppose, like, but you go back a lot of the time, the people owned the building. Is that right, Laurence? They loved, you know, Noel. Maybe that's why there's so many. Because if I went to Lawrence's building now and went to put a bar, I have to pay rent. You know, all these things. But if you lived on it, maybe it was easier.
Yeah, no. I mean, but there was, as you say, there was bars in Bankron, and there was McCullough's, Udy's, and
Draw, Six
Doon,
everywhere.
All sorts of little
and
town lands.
It was handy if you get through the one and go to the next one.
That was handy.
It has reduced the number.
21 pence to get barred from the mall.
There's a plan at every bar. You not see the last one.
When I was growing up, there some boys did take advantage of that. And I used to work in the different bars, and I would go, "Oh, sugar, well, you barred in here is the other one."
And but it's something I love to do. As I say, there's other places. We kind of only, I suppose, explored bits and pieces there. I think there's far more we could look at, far more we could probably do. But hopefully, this part of the project closing. Hopefully, it'll open up into and the heritage will come back in again. You see it on there, Lord? Come back in again. Was that an echo? Come back in again. There's a song in there, Lord. Heritage.
Come back in again.
Love it. I love you too. I love it. Only took 2 years, but hey, you're on now. And so here we are at the podcast, and we're just beginning. But look, no, it's been brilliant chatting to Noel Kelly, horse trainer and owner in certain respects, and has got a great business out in Desertmartin at the side of the mountain. Can't give you the postcode, but it's. You have a website, don't you know?
You can look it up under Noel C. Kelly Racing. There's different clips and all up on it.
Noel C. Kelly Racing, so if anybody's interested, and we have a wee short coming out. And Laurence O'Kane, as I said before, businessman, horse owner, philanthropist, board member, many board members, medical expert, and part-time comedian. We can't forget that one, two of us. And
general bullshitter.
A flabber.
That's distinct from a flapper.
A flabber. And, but look, it's been brilliant. Thanks for coming, and thanks to Stella and Nathan and Tierney. So we'll leave it at from Noel and Laurence and my good self. Thank you very much for listening, and thanks guys for coming on.
Thank you.
Thank you.